Hello there. So Bigme reached out to me and asked if I'd be willing to review some of their devices. And, I was definitely willing to do that. The one caveat I have, though, is that, in addition to the fact that I want to make sure that anytime I review a device, I have complete freedom to say what I want or how I feel about the device. I mean, that's kind of a given. But one thing that I also do, and this is true regardless of whether I'm working with a company who's providing the device for free, which is the case here, or if I'm buying it on my own, I always want to make sure that there's a reason why I think the device is intriguing or might succeed. There's something, at least on paper, that says this device does something better than something that I've looked at and reviewed before. And if I can't find that angle, I'm not interested in reviewing a device. Now, it's true that you may think that there's an angle, and then upon reviewing the device, it turns out not to be the case. And I'll just call that out. But I want to at least go in with a sense of optimism, a sense of I kind of understand why someone might be interested in this device. I want to explore that and see if it delivers on those promises. So as Bigme kind of gave me a list of the things that they were willing to give me to review, one device really stood out, and that was the S6 Plus Lite, which is a bit of a mouthful. But it's basically an 8-inch, technically 7.8, but we just round that up and call it an 8-inch, Eink device with Kaleido 3 color. Now, the reason why I was particularly attracted to that device was because my go-to e-reader is the Boox Tab Mini C, which is also an 8-inch Kaleido 3 device, and that came out around the end of June. So ever since that came out, that is June 2023, that's been my go-to e-reader. It's been challenged a bit by the Kobo Ellipsa 2E, which is my go-to 10-inch reader. But the way to think about that is that if I want to read kind of a hardcover book, that type of page size, then the Kobo is the device I'll go to. If I'm more interested in reading on a page size more akin to a paperback, or I'm more interested in color, then I'll go to the Tab Mini C. So those two devices are kind of my e-readers of choice right now. So what I found interesting about the Bigme S6 Plus Lite is that it was, on paper, a direct challenge to the Tab Mini C. And let me pull up this grid to kind of share why I thought that as it relates to some specifications. So first off, and the most important aspect perhaps, is that the S6 Plus Lite is cheaper. It's about $30 cheaper, at least if you go to Amazon.com. And I do recommend purchasing these devices from a retailer like Amazon simply because they have very good return policies. So that's why I chose those prices. You can get them a little bit cheaper potentially, going directly to the manufacturer, or you can get additional things, packaged. For example, the Mini C often comes with the cover if you buy it directly from Boox. But in this scenario, I'm just focusing on whether you purchase it through Amazon, again, because of that return policy. So Bigme S6 has an advantage in terms of the cost. Exact same screen size. In fact, it's literally the same screen. Both screens are provided by the Eink Corporation, so there's no differences at all, at least on paper. As we'll find out, there is a slight difference with the screen that I received with the Bigme than the Boox, but that's for a video down the line. As we go down the list, the CPUs are different. The Bigme has a faster processor. That'll be interesting. I'm not sure that's going to factor in, but we'll see. I'll do a side-by-side at some point, and we'll get a sense of whether that's a factor. What I don't include on this grid, however, is the Mini C also comes with a GPU processor in addition to its normal processor. So you can argue which of the devices has an advantage. And again, we'll see them side by side to validate. Same RAM, same storage. The Mini C does have a much larger battery. So I do expect the Mini C to have better battery life results because of that. But the dimensions are almost identical, including the weight. And that was a little bit of a disappointment, I have to say, with the S6 relative to the Mini C, because I thought that with a smaller battery, it would yield some weight, and that would be another advantage. It turns out, no, they're pretty much identical in terms of that aspect. I will say, though, the S6 Plus feels like a little bit more of a solid, sturdier device. So that is something to say in its favor. And then when it comes to the extras, both come with a stylus, but the Bigme has a Bluetooth stylus. So it has Bluetooth buttons that you can use to, say, refresh the screen or advance pages. And then the Bigme also comes, as I found out through the unboxing, which we're about to go through, it has a cover that also has page buttons. So we'll explore that. So there's a number of advantages here that the Bigme device has over the Boox device. And one of the things I'll definitely be exploring in this video series is, can the Bigme dethrone the Tab Mini C as my go-to e-reader in the 8-inch space? So we'll find out. But on paper, there's definitely a gauntlet being thrown here by Bigme. And I'm looking forward to testing the device and seeing if it can deliver on these promises. So that's basically why I decided to pick this particular device. And what I'm going to do, and I'll probably do this over the course of 3 videos, is I'll start with this video, which is just kind of an unboxing and an introduction, if you will, to the hardware. We'll go through the setup process as well. But we're going to save most of the review or the overview of the UI and the apps for the next video, which I'll title my visual tour. So by the end of these first 2 videos, we'll have a really good sense of what the S6 is and what it can do. Then, in the 3rd video, we'll do the direct comparisons between the S6 and the Mini C, and we'll really see how they perform differently from each other, who has the advantage, and we'll just go head-to-head. And I'll give my final full review of the S6 as well. Somewhere in there, whether it be in the next video or the last video, we'll also show detailed battery results. And this is the normal course that I use to review most devices. The one difference is I've historically done these reviews in 4 videos, and I'm going to kind of consolidate a bit and try to do this into 3, which I think might be a little bit tighter, but without losing any of the value. So we'll see how that goes. But that's the plan. So for this video, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the unboxing and the hardware, and then we'll have some closing thoughts. Okay, we're going to do a quick unboxing. The device comes in 6 boxes. You've got the device here, you've got the cover here, and you've got this separate box for accessories, which is kind of interesting. I'm guessing that the USB-C cable and nibs, extra nibs for the stylus is located in here. We'll take a quick look at that. Kind of interesting that they put this in a separate box as opposed to packaged with the main device. So I don't know if we'll get any insight into why that is, but it's kind of an interesting aspect of the packaging. We'll just start off here focusing on the main device, and here with this box you've got the Bigme logo, and it says "Just for You" down below. Draw your attention to some of the details, and we covered some of these already, so I just want to do some of the highlights. Of course, we're talking about the S6 Color Plus Lite. That's what this particular model is. We've covered most of this. We didn't talk about Wi-Fi. It has a standard Wi-Fi and Bluetooth functionality. USB-C. This is all pretty standard for e-ink devices. All my e-ink devices connect via USB-C cable, for example. I didn't talk about it having front and rear cameras. I don't think this is a particularly useful feature of the device. We may do a little bit of a look at what the resolution looks like on those images, but generally that's an extraneous functionality in my mind, at least for how I'm reviewing this particular product. It does have a fingerprint button, and I really like these on the Bigme devices. And it's not so much the fingerprint functionality itself, because I don't actually lock my devices. I'm not particularly concerned about someone else coming in and turning on one of my e-ink devices. That just doesn't happen. But I like the fact that they have a nice, large, the button that extrudes from the device, as relative to other manufacturers that recess the power button into the device, which I don't like. So it's a very small thing, and I know a number of folks disagree. They like the recess button to prevent accidental button pushes, but that's not an issue for me. I just appreciate the nice size of the button. It's a small thing for sure, but something I'd point out. Of course, it has cold and warm front lighting, which is, again, pretty standard. So, you know, a couple other things that we didn't cover before, but nothing that I think is of particular note. But let's go ahead and open this up. And we've got a little tag here at the end, so we'll go ahead and pull that out. Reiterating the "just for you," which you can barely see on the camera, but the words are right there. We'll just pull this tag out, and here is the device itself, which we'll put aside for a second. We've got, this is, you know, the documentation booklet. I'll open it up, but normally I ignore this. You've got your warranty card and quick start guide, which generally speaking I don't look at, so we'll go ahead and put that right back to where it came from. Your stylus is here. Let's open that up and take a look at the stylus. We really got to tear that out. Oh, it's got a stopper in there. Let's see if I can... Maybe I need to open it on the other end. Just tear this apart, which is fine. All right, there we go. And this is a standard stylus for Bigme devices. We'll take a closer look later when I can get into focus, but it's got 3 Bluetooth buttons. That's where it connects to the device for charging. There is a laser pointer on here, which is kind of fun if you have cats, but otherwise not particularly useful. All right, put that aside. Gonna put this back. Actually, let's go ahead and take this out. Packaging. All right, a nice design on the device. It has curved edges, so it's pretty comfortable to hold. The weight, a little bit of heft to the weight. I wouldn't call it light. Oh, it looks like just by shaking it, I'm actually starting it up. Now let's see what happens here. While it's doing that, we'll just put this stuff aside. Okay, we'll go through the startup process in just a second. But a little out of focus, but we've got, I think we've got 2 microphones there, the USB-C slot on one side. We've got like pins here. I'm not sure what that's for. That might be for the cover. It'd be interesting to see that. We've got a speaker here. This is where, over here is where you'd have expansion for storage. There's that nice large fingerprint button, which I like. This is where the stylus connects. There's the back of the device. It's got a camera and a flash. Let's go ahead and connect that stylus. There it is. It's a little bit of a weak connection, so it could jar easily. That's pretty standard with these types of devices. Okay, so we'll get back to this in a second, but let's go ahead and open up. We'll start next with the cover. We've got our little arrow there that tells us where to open it. Okay, it's black, it's nice. I like that. Let's see. All right, good. Okay, this is a cover that I'm used to with the Eink note. It's got a pretty smooth surface. So that's where the pins will connect to, and it's got buttons. Okay, I didn't know it came with buttons. That's interesting. Okay, and that's a magnetic clasp. So if we were to put the stylus in here, like so, it holds the stylus nicely. So that weak connection is mitigated by the cover, and then you've got a hole cut out. Although that's kind of odd, because if you're going to be taking a picture in the cover, you couldn't fold the cover back. Otherwise, you'd cover, right? You'd be covering the camera, and so you have to be taking a picture with the flap hanging out. So it's kind of an odd design choice there. Taking it out, let's see how hard it is to take this out. Pretty easy. It goes in and out fairly easy. But it's got a generally nice hold to it. See, I'm hanging it down, so I'm sure if I really jerked it, it would fall out, but it feels pretty secure in there. I feel pretty comfortable about it not just, sliding out accidentally. Okay, let's take a final look before we go through the setup process at the accessories, see what we've got in there. All right, here we go. This has 2 nibs, so you can see that there. We've got our USB-C cable, right? And I think that's everything. Yep. All right, so curious they didn't package that in the larger box, but whatever, it's not a problem. Just another box to open, so that's something. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and start through the startup process then. Actually, before we get into the startup, let's do a quick weigh-in on this. The device itself weighs 308 grams. Okay. The stylus, 16, and that's actually, that's probably plus or minus a couple grams. There's a little bit of a margin of error on this scale. And then the cover is 144. So when we put all these parts together, like so, then it's going to total 468. And that's your weigh-in. Okay, let's go ahead and get the startup process going. Click English. We'll agree to this policy that we can't avoid. All right, let's go ahead and initialize settings. Let's see what that means. All right, press the stylus button to connect. Try that again. Stylus is definitely charged because we're getting that blink. There we go. So a Bluetooth connection to the stylus. All right. All right, we'll connect into Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go ahead and put my password in. We'll cut back when I'm done. All right, we're connected. Here's a quick demonstration of its swipe gestures, and these are pretty standard from other Bigme devices. So these are the defaults. These can be modified. So right now the default is if I swipe up, it'll go back. Swipe from the middle is the home screen, and a refresh from the right side. Right now, nothing's set in terms of side swiping. And then the back button if you swipe in. I can turn any of these on or off, and I can also customize those. So there's some of the options. And I believe it's the same series of options. Yep. Up here. For the slide bars, those are your options, volume or lighting. And then this is it. It's only back. There's no options for that. So we'll just leave it default. Let's go next. Here we have office or tablet style. I kind of like tablet style, but we'll go through both. I'm not going to log in to the cloud service, so we'll go ahead and skip that. Okay, now we're going through a tutorial. All these tutorials are available on the device for reference at a later time, so we won't go through that then. We'll cover this a little bit more in my virtual tour video, which will come next, so we'll skip that for now. And we're up and running. Let's take a quick look at the front lighting situation. So right now we have no lights on. Let's get this centered a bit. Let's go ahead and turn on all warm lighting. Okay. Nice orange glow there. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Go to all cold lighting. All right. Looks pretty nice and even. Let's go full power on both. And there it is. Okay. I think that's it for now. We'll go a little bit more in depth in the next video, but this is the basically the setup process, very quick. And in fact, could have been even quicker because I went through some of the setup process I could have skipped. I just chose to go through it just to demonstrate it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, just a couple additional hardware notes before we close out. First off, this flap does connect magnetically to this flap on the outside. So if I fold it over like so and connect the flap, it'll connect like that, which is nice. It's not a strong connection, but it'll hold just fine. So that's nice. Also, we have page turn buttons, which we'll explore the functionality of those buttons, but let me just show you can cycle through the home screen. So we're on one of 2 pages. So we'll go ahead and click on that button and it'll cycle through, and I could use either button. Nice. Nice feel to them. In addition to that, I currently have it set so we're on screen rotation. So while the buttons are oriented on the left, I could easily just turn that around, use the G sensor, and then there they are now oriented on the right. Okay, so now we have a sense of what the hardware looks like, and kind of how it operates, at least in terms of how the screen looks and the front lighting. We're going to spend time going into a lot more detail around the system UI, around the various apps that are native to the device, and we'll do that in the next video, which is going to be the visual tour. So this is really where, think of this video as kind of introducing you and showing off the hardware. The next video will be focusing on the software. And we hope to go into quite a bit of depth on those things. So I hope to see you there. And until then, I'll see you next time.